A blue-haired boy stands close by the door of the train, looking through the window that has his reflection staring right back at him, no emotion clear on his face. The intercom of the train speaks out, saying that due to an accident, the train will be delayed, apologizing for any inconvenience. Nearing at his destination, the train stops, a jolt from it when slowing down. The boy gets off the train, pressing forward for the station. Taking a brief stop, he pulls out an article that had a picture of the dormitory he's heading off to, along with a map to its direction. Midnight comes. His music comes to a stop, the brightly lit end of the station now drowned in an eerie, sickly green. He folds the article, stuffing it back into the pocket of his button-up collar, continuing on. As he passes by the streets, coffins surround him everywhere. Screams of agony rain throughout the dead of night. The boy stops again, stepping into a puddle that resembles the dark red of blood. He looks from the article to the dormitory, catching the same structure of the buildings. He casually walks up the stairs, taking hold of the door's handle, pushing through and entering in the dormitory. It was brightly lit, flowers and vases on the desk, furniture on the other side. The carpet in olive green with squares and rectangles sort of merged together across the cushioned ground in a pattern. He takes off his earphones. "You're late," a voice speaks out. Turning to the desk, he sees a young boy, gray hair and sky blue eyes, his shirt like a prison inmate uniform. "I've been waiting for you for a while," he mentioned. The young boy snaps his fingers, now appearing in front of the blue-haired boy. "If you want to proceed, sign your name here." He gestures to the folder, flipping its cover open by itself, revealing a signature page with the title sprawled across the top that read, "Contract." "There's nothing to be afraid of. It just says that you will accept responsibility for your decisions from now on. Typical contract stuff." As he talks, the older boy signs in his name, Makoto Yuki. Makoto then hands the folder to the boy. He holds it close to his chest. "It's true." He pauses. "Time brings an end to all things." He covers one eye with the folder before it disappears. "Even if we pluck up our ears and cover our eyes." A dark cloud appears behind the boy. He outstretches his hand as the darkness envelops him. And so it begins. Soon as he and the darkness disappears, the warm amber light becomes that dark, ill-feeling green from when he was at the station and in the streets. "Who's there?" Another voice calls out. This time, it's a girl his age. Two of them, actually. The one that called out had brown hair and matching eyes, glaring. The second one is right behind her. Her hair was blonde and held in a ponytail. Her gaze a lot more confused and a bit anxious. The brunette's hands trembled, grabbing something by her leg. "Talk about Kennedy, wait!" She comes to a stop, the two girls turning to upstairs where another girl stands. Her hair and eyes were red, but her expression was more stern. "But Kirito-senpai, isn't he—" "Don't worry, he's just an ordinary transfer student." The girls named Takuba and Kennedy shared a look. Transfer student? The lighting of the room goes back to the warm yellow light before. Makoto's MP3 player playing music again. "We were expecting you to arrive earlier." The redhead descends down the stairs, now standing in between the other two, hand on her hip. Kenny's facing forward like her, while Takuba's body faced to them, but stares at Makoto. "I'm Mitsuru Kiricho. I live here in the dorms." She introduced herself. "Why pick this hour to show up?" "It was a last-minute decision to put him here. He'll probably be formally assigned to the boys' dorm eventually." The brunette turns to Mitsuru. "Is this a good idea to have him here?" she asked. "We'll see." Makoto passes by the girls, heading to the stairs. Hey, hold on!" Takuba and Kennedy tried to get his attention, but only stopped when Mitsuru interjected. "Your room is on the second floor at the end of the hall." He turns back to them. "Takuba, Kennedy, will you two show him the way?" "Huh?" Takuba stands straight, almost stiff as a board. Kennedy was fidgeting with her fingers, but glanced up to Mitsuru for a second from her request. "These two are Yukari Takuba and Shailia Kennedy. They'll be second years this spring," she explains. "Same as you, correct?" Makoto nodded at her question, shifting his gaze to Yukari and Shailia, the former giving a stern look similar to Mitsuru from before, the latter gaze flinting from him to the ground. "I'm Takuba. Shailia, but I go by Shay." With a blank face, he gives his name. "Makoto Yuki. Good to meet you." Yukari nodded, and Shay grunted in acknowledgement. "Same here. Nice to meet you." Makoto's attention falls down, seeing that a gun holster strapped to Yukari's thigh. It's late. You should turn in. With that said, Mitsudo hands Yukari the key to Makoto's room. Shay quickly stood beside her, giving her a smile which she returned, then focused back to the boy. We'll show you where it is. Please, follow us. Yukari and Shay lead Makoto upstairs to the second floor, down the hall. Yukari leading the way while Shay is right behind her, swaying her body a bit. Here we are, Shay spoke. You should be able to find it here, okay? But if you need help, let us know. She gave a kind smile. Here's your room key. Yukari hands the key to Makoto. Thanks. Now the key in Makoto's hand, Yukari presses her arm to her chest, a look of ponder on her face. Can I ask you something? She looks up to him. On the way here from the station, you didn't run into any trouble. He looked at her confused. She's starting to look anxious, sweat on her forehead, fiddling with her heart necklace. What I'm saying is... She paused. She seemed to want to say more, but stopped herself from doing so. Her friend cupped her shoulder, shaking her head as she looked at her. Sorry, it's nothing, she apologized. Well, good night. Come on, Shay. Okay, night. The two head off, Shay falling behind Yukari, but she turns back to Makoto, giving a short wave. The next day, the three second years get ready and hop on the train that would transport them to the school. Shay stands next to Yukari, occasionally sort of glancing at Makoto to the ground. She tends to look at things and people which she has been told a few times that can be creepy. But she isn't trying to be creepy. She just stares and she doesn't know where to look aside from the view. His eyes were closed, music being slightly heard from his earphones. She wonders what he's listening to. From what she can tell, it has a nice beat. Maybe she'll ask him later. Ah, there it is. Yukari broke the silence. Can you see it? Makoto opens his eyes, catching a glimpse of the school from the distance the train was. Once they arrived, Shay can't help but smile. While still relatively new to Japan and the school, she can't help but find its atmosphere overall inviting. The white building of the school that made you feel like you were going somewhere magical, the in-season sakura blossom trees with the petals flying in the wind, and the bright blue sky complementing the setting that makes it feel so welcoming. Now within proximity of the school, the two girls turned to Makoto, who was behind them, sweet smiles on their lips. This is Gekukan High School. Hope you like it here. Makoto didn't really answer to that welcome, but peered up to the school. They then head in and part ways for a brief time, as they ended up in the same class together. Shay looks to Makoto. Class has finished, and he seems to be lost in thought. Like him, she's new, but she came a lot earlier when it was still the first year. It was also the time when she moved into not only another town, but also a whole new country, by herself. So she felt pretty scared with a few people she knew back when she used to live in the big city. Luckily, she met a few people that helped her adjust, one of them being, of course, Yukari. Someone approaches Makoto, resting his hand on his shoulder, causing him to look up at him. How's it going? And you are? Speak of the devil, Junpei's here. That was the person who Shay was thinking about that, like Yukari, that helped her adjust to being here. Come on, don't be so standoffish. I'm Junpei Iori. Just call me Junpei. He introduced himself, getting a bit close to Makoto. Personal space, the blue-haired boy replied flatly. I transferred here in my second year of junior high myself, Junpei explained. It can be rough as a transfer student without anyone to show you the ropes, so I figure I should come break the ice. He leaned forward back to Makoto's personal space. Ain't it nice? Makoto gave an annoyed look. Personal space, he reminded. Shay let out a giggle, followed by a groan from Yukari, who was approaching the boys. She followed behind her. You never change, do you? Hi, Junpei. Junpei stands up straight again, a bright smile on his face while his eyes are closed. Well, if it's Yucatan and Chetan, didn't expect us to be in the same class again. Yukari tilted her chin up. You'll talk anyone's ear off if they give you half a chance, she pointed out. You should think about when you're actually bothering them. Junpei looked like he was going to protest, but stopped. It was possibly to avoid Yukari snapping back with sass. It's become a norm for them, from what she can tell. She then leans a bit forward, smiling at Makoto. Quite a coincidence, isn't it? When you come in the same class. Shay nodded. It feels nice to be in the same class with familiar faces. She fiddled with her sleeve, swaying a bit while looking down, pink in her face. Hey, shouldn't you two be saying that to me too? Should we? The blonde shuts her eyes with a sweat. Sorry, Junpei, she apologized. Takeba, Kennedy. The two girls turned to the door, noticing Mitsudo standing arms crossed. Huh? Kirijo-senpai? When Mitsudo needs something, it's usually serious business. Do you two have a minute? The two left with Mitsuru into another room, where another individual was sitting at the desk of the room. It was the chairman, Suji Ukutsuki. The three girls sat down, Shay with Yukari. The chairman was holding a file, his eyes skimming through it. It's pretty unusual to see you at school, Chairman, Yukari commented. When Kirjo told me about the new student, I couldn't contain my curiosity, he stated. Then you think he also has the potential? Shay finished for Yukari. It's almost certain. The chairman focused back on the file. He's quite a fascinating case. Even he has the potential, he really might be more unstable, he said, suffering symptoms such as memory loss, disorientation, and so on. But he arrived at the dorm as if it were no issue at all. He casually walked in during that hour. The way Mitsuru phrased it, it's kind of suggesting that Makoto might not be human, considering he seemed normal when he came by the dorm. That isn't an insane assumption to think. Are you saying he isn't normal? Yukari asked what Shay was thinking. Possibly. Maybe, she chimed in. The chairman then shuts the file, putting it down on the desk. Which brings me to this. Takeba, Kennedy, I'd like you to monitor him up close for a while. Shay tenses up, taking a hold of the heart and gem of her necklace. You want us to spy on him? He turns his chair facing forward of the desk, resting his chin on his hands as his elbows propped up on the desk. I suppose I do. Mitsuru takes the file, holding it to Shay and Yukari. Skim through his bio before interacting with him. Yukari takes the bio. She and Shay share a look of sympathy. This doesn't feel right. Even though they barely know him, keeping tabs on him like he's a guinea pig just feels wrong. I feel a little bad about doing this. She ain't alone in that. He doesn't know what's going on yet. We'll know to see if he's qualified to know everything, Mitsuru reasoned. We get that, but still. Yukari then flips to Makoto's bio. Shay hovers over her shoulder, skimming through the page with the brunette. He seems to have bounced around from school to school, from relative to relative. His parents are deceased? The two pause. Shay's eyes widened while Yukari tensed up. They shift to the chairman. They seem to have died in the accident 10 years ago in the city. Mitsuru narrowed her eyes in skepticism. That's quite a strange coincidence. Shay and Yukari look back at the bio. The accident of 10 years ago?